Hello, my name is Luis Rico-Gutierrez, and I serve as Dean of the College of Design here at Iowa State University. And we're speaking to you at the end of day one of the inaugural Iowa Mayor's Design Workshop, where we're actually convening and hosting 5 mayors from across the state. And we're going to be working with talent from the university, from the College of Design, from Iowa State University Extension Service, to find ways of responding to challenges and opportunities in all these different communities. So today I have Mayor Danny Laudick, with me, and I'm going to ask you, Danny, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So hey everyone, Danny Laudick. So Mayor of Cedar Falls. I've been mayor now for about 6 months, so kind of new on the job. And grew up in Cedar Falls. Go Panthers, you and I. And I have to put that in there, But again, we've been great partners. I've worked with you and I, or ISU Extension, for a long time through a lot of different projects, even beyond my time as mayor. And so I, again, talked about how I never really wanted to be mayor, never had goals to be in politics. But so my last 10 years has been a lot of economic community development. I've started a few organizations, businesses, nonprofit and for-profit in Cedar Falls. And it was about 2 years ago that I was in between major commitments, big projects, and the current mayor at the time announced I wasn't going to run again, and just had a few people reach out immediately after that asking, would you be willing to take a shot at it and jump in? And I know for me, I worked in economic development in the region, at a regional economic development partner, a nonprofit I ran, worked in a lot of new business development, helping early stage businesses with mentoring, coaching. We had a small investment fund that I helped run that invested in early stage companies. And so I had a strong opportunity to work with the business community, nonprofit community, but also with the cities, economic development, with governmental partners, our city council. And so it was a good step in to say, okay, I've had these opportunities, and my, at the time, girlfriend, during the campaign, fiance, and now wife, we don't have any kids, and realized if there's ever any time to jump in and do this, now's probably the time.
So I think we're going to reach an audience where there's going to be a lot of young people, thinking about the possibility of going into public service, but maybe being nervous and hesitant about it. Can you maybe go back to that moment when something clicked in your mind and decided to do it? And if you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I think it was, because I'll say you never feel ready for an opportunity like this. Because there's so much, even when I feel like you've worked in this for years, there's so many things you have to learn every single day. And, you talk to mayors who have been in it for 15 years, they still have to learn something new every single day, because you're dealing with topics, everything ranging from parks, recreation, to street and roads, to human rights issues, to education, to city structures and how they're funded. So there's just always something new you're learning. So it'll never be the type of thing running for council, running for mayor, running for any of the commission spots. You'll always feel underprepared. And I think for me, it was just, I had that opportunity to be involved in a lot of those areas that most people at a young age don't get a chance to. I short out of college, got a chance to work in economic development in a new workforce role. And partly because of my age coming out of college, I had a lot of background. I switched majors 6 times at UNI, so I had studied a little bit of everything to understand the difference between hiring and training, a welder, and hiring and training a software developer. So that was a plus for me. So I stumbled into this position, but not many people get a chance to work in economic development when they're in their 20s. Usually it's a field you come into after some business experience. So I had those opportunities and had been looking at maybe running for council. And it was when other people started asking me, would you be willing to step in, that I think I needed that prompt to be like, you know what, you do have the background for this, you do have the preparation. And for me, my goal was always, what can I do for my community that will make it the type of place I want to live for the next 30, 40 years? And city leadership has a dramatic impact on your local community. The decisions that your council and your mayor make, compared to some of the things at the state and national level, you will see an immediate and dramatic effect from your tax rates to what parks get developed to where roads get put. And so I think realizing that we had a lot of single issue politics for our last 10 years or so, but the 20 years earlier of growing up in our community, we made great investments in our trail systems and our parks and our industrial parks that created economic growth, and our fiber internet that we've had since home. Like, I grew up playing video games a lot with fiber internet in the early 2000s and took that for granted. and just realize this is probably the best thing I can do with my time to help make an impact in my community.
So as a relatively new mayor, you talked about those conversations when you were thinking about what kind of community you wanted to live in for the next 30 to 40 years. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? What is your vision for that community?
And so when I was campaigning, that came up a lot. So what's your vision? If we're going to vote for you, what's your vision for the community? And my number one answer was always, first of all, to me, the role of mayor is not to impose your vision on the community. It's to be the gatekeeper of what is the community's vision for itself. And for us, we've got about 41,000 people. You can't get two people to agree on everything. If anyone's in a relationship with someone, it's hard to get two people to agree on everything. So add 1,000 people to that. So the job is, how do you listen as much as possible, get a feel for what's the community want to see for itself, get the strategic input, and not just the loud voices, but also the people that don't, young families don't really show up and talk much. They're busy. They've got lives, they've got jobs, they've got families, but you need to make sure you're going to people and talking with them and seeing what their goals are. And then to me, it was to piece together, okay, as much as possible, what's that shared vision we see? And for us, it's how do we get back to understanding what's that 20-year trajectory we're looking to, and how do we start making decisions now? Because that's one biggest thing you realize, I think, stepping into this role is, as a mayor, you always have to be thinking 20 years out. Because the decisions you make today make a dramatic impact on, if you decide to make a new corridor and invest in road construction, that's going to be there for 40, 60, 80 years. And the economic growth of this community is going to trend to where you make those investments. We were talking in the workshop about we're there to prime the pump. We're not going to make all those investments, but what we invest in really influences the rest of the city's development. So I think for me, it's really looking at what's that vision we want to see for ourselves, but then start charting that path with the community on how do we get from here where we are today to that 20-year vision of where we want to be.
So in that path, what is the role of design and creativity and innovation, to help you get where you want to go?
Yeah, so I was kind of on both. I'm a right and left brain person. I was an art major and I was a business major at different times, and engineering in between there. And so I think, as Midwesterners, we're very functional. We're very much like, well, just do with what you can with what you've got. And if you're going to do something, do it for the minimal cost. And, you can build a park, you can build a street, but if it doesn't look nice, and if it doesn't engage people in a way that encourages them to use the space, that inspires them to be excited about the community, then it's just going to be empty space that nobody uses. And I think a lot of times we forget that how you do it and how the project looks and how the built environment looks, and not just the built environment, but the social aspect of a park. If people aren't using it, then no one uses it. But when people see other people engaging in it, and a good downtown, we were joking that Yogi Berra quote is, "I don't go downtown. No one goes downtown anymore. It's too busy." And just those things of people engaging in a space creates other people wanting to use that space, and I think that starts with good design. As a city, we're so used to roads, right-of-way issues, and like all the functional things that we forget the human aspect of what our role is as a city. And it's really to engage people in our spaces, encourage them to live there, because nowadays businesses follow people. And so if you can't focus on the quality of life and how people engage in your community, which comes down to design, the human aspect of how you do new development, then a lot of times you'll build something, but no one will show up. I feel like sometimes, not to hate on Field of Dreams, but the saying of if you build it, they will come usually isn't true. Yeah. You really need to focus on the design, the programming, and how do you encourage people to use the space.
So we're at the end of day one of two, of these kinds of collaboration. So what's exciting about the collaboration with the College of Design, with Iowa State University Extension?
I think one of the biggest things is the College of Design especially brings that human aspect and a whole different lens to how you can envision a project, but also just the extended resources that you guys have access to through expertise, partnerships with other organizations. You've worked with all the state partners, the federal partners, the DOT. So the recommendations that the group can bring to the table around, well, have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? But not just with you guys as well, but the work you've done to bring together a peer cohort of other mayors. Because every time I sit down with other mayors and you're able to float an idea by them, and they've been through the same issues, they've had the same community conversations, they've invested in a similar type of park, those are the examples that really help, as a mayor, Nobody has expertise just on how to build a new park, fund it, engage people in it with programming. You have to talk to people who've been through it, that have done it. And so this type of process where we get to do also the design work, the visualization, the technical expertise that you and the design college bring to the table, but also then that peer cohort, the expertise that comes with people that have been through the same processes, that's what really helps us take some of these bigger projects we're working on and move them forward. You know, I've talked before about day to day as a mayor, you can be as busy as you want to be. You can be in the weeds all day, 24/7. You know, I was talking with some of the other mayors of there's no such thing as a part-time mayor. You know, you might be paid part-time, but it's a full-time job. And if you don't have a chance to step away and have projects like this where you can look at the bigger picture, get the design input, get that expertise from other people, and just get out of the weeds for a little bit, you will never make time to do it. So this was just a really good chance for me, 6 months in. You know, you start off with all these big things you want to work on, but you realize in an 8-hour day, you really only have like 1 hour of time to actually work on things. This gives that space away to make sure you make time and work on the bigger things.
Any final thoughts for us today?
Just one, thank you guys again for this project. Like I said, it's so easy to get tied up in the day-to-day that you forget to take a step back, look at the bigger picture. The peer cohort with the mayors, even just in day one, is I'm still taking notes and trying to follow through, but then also give back to the other mayors and make sure you're not just sitting there focusing on your project. But also for anybody that's looking to get involved in politics, I know, at my age, I think a lot of times, millennials especially, we have to be asked to do things. We don't step in sometimes those leadership roles. We always think we're not prepared. It's someone else's job. I would say get involved, and it doesn't have to be as running for mayor. That's usually people have served on the council before or on a commission. So I would just encourage people to get involved, start serving on something, because that local involvement, either on a commission, on council, as mayor, will make more impact in your local community than just about any other decision-making body will, even at the state level, the federal level. So just encourage people, take advantage of these opportunities. Again, I stumbled into being a mayor. I never had goals to go into politics. That wasn't the trajectory I was working toward. It was just, I was always looking to how do I make my community better? And every project I did got a little bigger and stepped up into one more thing I wasn't ready to take on, but you figure it out. And then eventually someone asked, maybe you should take this step.
Well, thank you very much for taking that step. Thank you for your service, for your leadership. I think I was fortunate to have you as part of the mayors in your communities actually benefits from that. I think this is going to be a long-term partnership with all of the mayors. We want to keep working with all of you. And at the end of the day, that is the function of land-grant universities. We're here to be engines of innovation for the state, for the country, and for the world. And we hope to play our part as a College of Design to really be the fuel that keeps that engine running. Thank you very much, and I will see you in another broadcast.